question of representation only. So obviously there is the Harun Farocki somehow popularized the term operational images. And this is very important for us to understand that images do not come to depict the world, to simply tell a story about it, but effectively most of the way in which things are communicating and decisions are made by humans, by networks of human, or by networks of human and computers, right? Increasingly, this is how decisions are undertaken, is through image share, is through images. So images become, the aesthetic domain become operationalized to a certain extent. Image has a presence, is both presence and representation at the same time. And therefore, what you say to inhabit images is absolutely correct, because our environment, we cannot simply look at the physical environment, at the architecture of things as those hard surfaces to bump our head at, but they are completely interlinked with a kind of a thick aesthetic domain of images. And our inhabiting of the image, of the domain of images, is through navigation. And this is why, by the way, we think that forensic architecture is kind of filled a very important role in the investigative logic of the present. We think spatially, and we understand that to interrogate a case, we need to build spatial relation between images. So I'll give you two examples, or let me start like that. Forensic architecture was established more or less is coextensive with the Arab Spring, right? We were established at the beginning of 2011, end of 2010. The conflict that developed at the collapse, at the failure of that promise, this kind of series of civil war throughout the Middle East, exists in a very specific media environment in which it's a very media literate and technologically able societies are experiencing violence, and therefore we start having around an incident not only one image but a cloud of images. Somebody is getting shot, a missile falls on the ground, a tank is charging through into a city. Immediately smartphones light up and a cloud of images evolve around that incident. If you only undertake image analysis, you would have to look at each one of those videos separately. What we have established, and I think that is the strength and somehow the key to understand what we do, is a spatial relation between images. So what we do, very simply, Giselle, we build a 3D model and we locate each one of the cameras within this 3D model. We call that stage the architectural image complex. We never cut any video that we find. If the activists have shot 5 seconds, all that 5 seconds is in the video. If they shot an hour, all that hour is in the video. Sorry, not in the video, in the model. And then the investigator does not operate according to montage, does not operate according to the cut and the edit, but navigate from one image to the next, to the next, to the next, creating a relationship between space and the image. And that relation between space and image is what architecture gave us. And this is why we've been relatively successful in being able to, find perpetrators and uncover incidents that others could not have done, simply through that simple understanding. Architecture is a kind of a milieu for image understanding. Architecture is an optical device, and it is For us, also architecture is important in other ways. No, when you construct an evidence, it is something that you need to build together. Just to mention Harun Farocki one last time. When he died, he was working on a documentary on us and with us. And I remember him going through our visual production, and he was saying to me something I'll never forget. He said, building a film is not like building a house. It's like building a nest. You create the different elements and then put them together. There is not a kind of a structural hierarchy. And I think building a case is almost like that. You're finding the different elements that together will create that sort of perfect case if you're successful in doing that.